Hey, Deja here. So, Black Myth Wukong came out, and I spent the week streaming it. Well, now that I've finished my first playthrough, I wanted to drop a review, so let's jump in. Kicking off the game, you jump into a tutorial mission where you play as Wukong in a battle against Erlang Shen and the Celestial Army. It's quite a decent tutorial, giving you some free reign to try out some skills, as well as try out the combat without having a health bar, so you won't be punished for practicing and messing up. After this, Chapter 1 starts. We take control of a descendant of Wukong, being tasked to collect the 6 relics of Wukong in order to try and revive him. Starting off, we have no magic skills and solely rely on our staff for combat. But as we progress, we start to unlock various skills and spells Sun Wukong was known for. We end up getting most of the spells early on, with a few picked up later, offering some variety. When it comes to the transformations, they are split into 2 types. You have transformations and spirits. Transformations are a spell type, giving you essentially a second health bar where you become that transformation for a duration. Spirits, however, are transformations that offer a passive buff and can be used to do a specific attack or move. I generally like the way you have some specific transformations while also having a more expansive list of spirits to use. While they could have gone the route of them all being transformations, that would be quite time consuming, and I think there is more than enough available in the game covering a good variety. You have access to a decent amount of spells, with you getting most in the first 2 chapters, with a few being picked up in later ones. I think the spells we have are decent enough, with a bit of variety, but could still do with a couple more. I generally found myself sticking to the same spells throughout, only switching some around if they didn't work on certain bosses. When it comes to the fighting, it plays around using light attacks to build up your focus bar to get focus points, then spending them on heavy attacks to deal more damage and healing yourself. I don't think it's a bad design, but it does become a bit repetitive having to use light attacks so much. However, there are other ways to build focus, which makes it a little bit less repetitive. Heavy attacks come in different forms thanks to the stances, with Smash Stance having heavies you can charge while moving or flow them into your light attack combos, Pillar Stance having a cool heavy where you climb your staff to let off a massive hit, or in your combo to spin around your staff, and finally Thrust Stance where you jab with your staff, or when used in your combos you can dodge backwards to follow up with a jab or a multi-jab light combo, which can also be followed up with another dodge. While I love the idea of Pillar Stance and several weapons make it better, I did find the stance to be quite lackluster. The heavy was great, but I really disliked the combo heavy as it had much shorter range and locked you in place for a while. Thrust Stance was my second favourite, and I found its charge heavy to be great for clearing out enemies in one hit without fighting them. Overall, Smash Stance became my favourite. The way the heavy attacks flowed with your combo felt great, and while you could only use 1 or 2 focus points to buff the damage, it hit decently hard and made you hard to hit during the animations. The standard heavy it offered was great too, as you could move and even dash while charging it. The skill trees are a nice addition, with each focused on something specific, but I did find most of the stuff is quite passive or goes unnoticed. Take for example the Pluck of Many skill. The skill tree has 2 that increase duration, 2 that increase attack, 1 that increases health, and 3 which are noticeable. 1 adding more clones, 1 letting your clones build up your focus, and the last one lets your clones use your spells. Sadly, it feels like a lot of the trees are passive effects, and I generally found once I maxed out a spell tree and a stance tree, I just focused on the passive stat tree. While it's not a huge issue, I do think they could have added a few more noticeable effects, especially to the spells. When it comes to the story and chapters, I found the pacing to be okay, other than chapter 5 and 6, which seemed quite fast. Chapters 1 to 4 are quite large maps, with chapter 3 and 4 being the larger ones. Chapter 5 felt linear, and I finished it quite quickly, but I also noticed some things missing, which I assume is cut content or left for New Game Plus. As for chapter 6, it is open world, and while it looks great, There really isn't much to do. You kill specific bosses for the story, and then there are a handful of extra bosses to kill, but other than that, there isn't much else happening. It really feels like Chapter 6 pushes you to finish up the story, which is a little sad as they have this giant open space that could have filled with more enemies or bosses, or even more NPCs, and it goes relatively unused. Overall, the story was enjoyable, with a simple premise of collecting 6 relics to revive Sun Wukong, with more being revealed in later chapters. When it comes to bugs, I didn't have any major ones during my playthrough, and the most annoying issues I had were the game was quite dark in some places. I had a visual bug with Nimbus Cloud showing big square pixels as it moved, and one of the requirements to unlock a secret enemy was bugged, so I couldn't fight them. It would have been great to include a map as well, at least for some of the bigger areas, but I did familiarise myself with them quickly, so these weren't major issues, and I could look past them to enjoy the game. There is several vendors in the game, with you able to unlock a hub in Chapter 3, where they all move to, which is great as it gives you a quick and easy location to get your vendor needs, and even opens up another vendor who can upgrade your armor, letting you use older sets if you like their effects. The weapons and armors have some interesting effects, such as a set that reduces poison damage while also increasing your attack while poisoned. Another set gives your clones a damage reduction shield. However, while progressing the game, it felt like I always wanted the set with the highest defense, and the effect didn't matter too much. That being said, it generally felt like these were nice additions, but definitely aimed for a high level build in New Game Plus. I tried to complete as much content as I could throughout my playthrough, going back into each chapter after I completed them to clear the secret areas and bosses. This ended up rewarding me the secret true ending, and getting a few extra rewards than the regular ending. I found the bosses required to unlock this ending to be some of the most fun fights in the game, and I'm looking forward to starting New Game Plus and seeing what has changed or being added. Overall, I enjoyed the game and intend to go into New Game Plus soon and try and unlock everything I can. I do believe there is a fair bit of cut content or content pushed off till New Game Plus, so I look forward to seeing what is added and what might be added in future DLC. I give the game a 9 out of 10, and I do believe it will most likely be Game of the Year, which is well deserved for Game Science's first official game. I thoroughly enjoyed it and look forward to playing it more and enjoying more being added. I think it's a game that proves you can make a great enjoyable game without including microtransactions, day one DLC, or other predatory actions modern game developers seem to push. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my review. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.